The legendary MADCAT. I have heard a whole lot about this mech in other videos, and I am super excited to dive deeper into the lore of this amazing machine with Tech Talks Battletech, the MADCAT. If you don't know me, I'm Alteria Tempest, a VTuber who is currently diving deeper into the Battletech universe. I am going through the Tech Talks Battletech videos all in order, and I'm doing a whole bunch of other videos in and around the Battletech universe because I am trying to learn more about it. So if you want to join me on this journey, leave a like down below and subscribe for more. But enough about that, we are going to be diving straight into the reaction today. Ooh, Tech Talks Battletech. There it is. There's that monster. Definitely got some missiles on that thing, huh? I think those are Oh, somebody definitely told me about the different amounts of missiles each one has, like the SRMs versus LRMs. But I totally forgot about that.
The topic of this episode is the poster child of the franchise.
Yes, the poster child.
To some, it's a gaudy waste of C-bills and a superbly inviting target. To others,
yeah, definitely, it's a clan mech, so a clan heavy omni mech. Okay, yeah, so each word in that just makes it bump further and further up the cost spectrum to how much am I guessing? I'm guessing it's going to be a little bit more expensive than the Thor/Summoner one that I watched earlier. So I'm going to put it at like 25 to 30 million C-bills is what I'm guessing.
it's a brilliantly balanced modular weapon system capable of fulfilling any mission parameters and winning any engagement with a capable pilot. Some call it a MADCAT, some call it a TIMBERWOLF. For certain fans,
I'm definitely going to call it a MADCAT.
Centerpiece to the entire franchise in lore and design emphasis.
Because I am an inner sphere. I'm a member of the inner sphere.
Incarnate. To the chosen few of the clan war machine, she is a goddess of the battlefield, smiting down the unworthy.
All right, I just had to change something. I actually boosted up the volume because I have noticed that Tex is a little bit quiet. A little bit quieter than the other things that I react to. So I bumped up the volume so you can probably hear him hopefully a little bit better. I'll try to fix it a little bit in the editing process, but for right now, hopefully this sounds a little bit better.
The unrighteous fire. To the inner sphere, it is a harbinger of hard times, of uneven fights and dark days ahead.
Yeah, I doubt much. I doubt many mechs from the inner sphere could actually compete with it.
A mighty engine of war driven by the best in pursuit of their... Oh, wait. They lost, didn't they?
Yep. I'm super excited to watch that video to remember.
Fucking
I'm not going to try to pronounce that.
Let's get into that on this episode of Tech Talks Battletech.
Tech Talks Battletech. Let's get into it.
When the clan decided to throw down on the inner sphere, they came through the periphery, eradicating scant resistance in the form of pirates, pocket empires, single system nation states.
The free Russellhall Republic.
On an
I'm bad at pronouncing those.
Barely habitable. A mercenary company of the Kellhounds were under contract to hunt down pirates in a forgettable system called the Rock. Scout Lance ran into a...
I have done a little bit of reading about the Kellhounds because they feature fairly prominently in the book that I'm reading at the moment, and they're actually now under threat from the Draconis Combine because they've definitely got a bit of a grudge. One of the leaders of the Draconis Combine has a bit of a grudge against the Kellhounds. And what was it? I think one of the leaders has that crazy stealth mech, maybe? That's about all I know from them.
Of unknowns. And a pilot was confused to encounter a glitch. You see, Phelan Kell's wolfhound was having trouble telling him what in the fuck was shooting at him, in between his opponent yelling about claims and bondsmen and all that jazz. The targeting computer said MAD Cat, because it looked kind of like a cross between a marauder and a catapult. Also, inner sphere equipment tends to be dumb and badly made. See? There, I made a joke about my stuff. We're equal now, you clanners.
Sure.
So when the survivors of the mercenary company managed to limp back into the inner sphere talking about crazy shit like mechs nobody's ever seen before, driven by brilliantly dangerous pilots, and had records to prove.
Oh yeah, look at all those missiles, huh?
A name was applied. MADCAT. by this guy
Ooh,
who works for Space
Marshall?
AT&T.
Yeah.
Once in
Star
contact with
Man.
regular forces, the MADCAT
He
continued
kind of
its
almost looked
rampage, serving
Targaryen-esque.
brilliantly in the name of Clan Wolf. In nearly every engagement it made.
A commenter actually just recently pointed out how similar they are. Game of Thrones and Battletech, just like Battletech's Game of Thrones in space. And I'm a huge fan of Game of Thrones. So I was like, dang, that kind of does fit. There's just a lot of politicking. And even how the books in the Warriors trilogy were laid out, it's very like we're going back and forth between a bunch of different planets and a bunch of different characters, and we're seeing it from their perspective. So the books are laid out very similarly as well, which I'm surprised I didn't like get the connection sooner, but definitely cool to think about.
Its prowess known through brilliant engineering applied by the best pilots the Inner Sphere had ever seen, which was something nobody could surely have seen coming, and warned every man, woman, and child that hell was on the horizon and coming straight at us.
Is this who is this? This is the mercenary company, right? Like he should have he was sent here. They were part of the clans, and then they came here to like warn people and like get the Inner Sphere ready, but they didn't end up doing it. I think that's what it is, right?
Nobody. At all.
Nope.
At all. Anyways.
Okay, I guess we're not going to get an answer.
Win engagements is putting it lightly.
That's what I thought I remember.
That equipment tended to blow away fully garrisoned defensive armies like dandelions. As it turns out, having a warrior culture tends to breed effective warriors. Having generations of pilots trained on a single weapon system and hyper-competitive warrior culture makes for a very effective means by which to wage war for a time.
Very effective means to wage singular combat, I would say. Not too effective at waging actual war. They were effective, at least a little bit effective, obviously. But their method of war and methods of fighting were not very comparable to the Inner Spheres. Once the whole shock and awe of their incredible technology and incredible skill wore off, it was definitely more even in the actual fight, just because of how much the clans were sandbagging by basically nerfing themselves with this whole like warrior pride kind of BS stuff. I know, I know it's like, oh, they abhor waste and whatever, but it's a war, man. It's a war. Learn how to fight an actual war.
Anyways, in engagement after engagement, the MADCAT could easily make short work of equivalent tonnage mechs and comfortably swing above its weight. It was not uncommon during this time to hear of a clan-heavy star engaging multiple seemingly equivalent lances before retreating with minor damage, leaving all the Inner Sphere equipment comparatively and completely humbled. Throughout the invasion, the MADCAT fought on the front lines, clanners introducing their Inner Sphere adversaries to a whole new style of warfare, where their enemies had better stuff and used it to win, seemingly effortlessly.
I guess that is a style of warfare.
Is an exceptional weapon system within short, high-intensity conflicts, exactly the sort of war the clans excel at. However, that is not to say they haven't found appreciation in the Inner Sphere. While supremely expensive for a heavy mech at $24,233,000.
Hey, 24 million. I was close. I was close.
An amount of
I
money
had 25 to
that would buy
30.
any mercenary company 3 Black Knights, or 17 urban mechs.
Oh, 17 urban mechs.
Early comfortable retirement. The MADCAT or TIMBERWOLF has found its place.
I love how that's like a measurement. I think that's my favorite measurement. I want to see everything in all of these series compared to how many urban mechs you can buy with the equivalent amount of C-bills.
Have to acquire them, and most visibly in the Solaris 7 arena.
Ooh.
Why? Well, it's an Omni-Mech dummy.
Yeah,
It can
right?
be anything. It's Legos with weapons. It's perfect for small-scale, high-intensity battles where having choice in how you fight is just as important as anything else. It's a mech gladiator's wet dream. It's a masterful weapon system, coveted by all who've seen it fight regardless of their allegiance. Let's move on.
I don't know too much about the specifics of Solaris 7. I know like some of the stuff that I'm reading in the Warriors trilogy is set there, but we haven't gone into too much of like the actual mech fighting specifics. I'm assuming we are, because I'm just getting into the point where Justin Allard is has just killed someone for their mech. So I'm guessing we're going to be seeing it from his perspective as he fights through the arenas. But right now I've mostly been in like the higher levels of it, more in the like the Valhalla, more of the higher tier areas where people are betting on mechs and kind of celebrating their victories. All like the top gladiator fighters are like celebrating, where I'm mostly in there. So I don't know exactly how they actually fight in there. So how would the rules work if you have an Omni mech? And I don't know. I think it would be like an insane advantage, as you're saying. I was kind of thinking, oh, how would that be fair? But they're obviously not fair. It's a gladiatorial arena. People want to see other people get like destroyed and blown up, and so it's probably just nothing's fair in there. That's what I'm guessing.
To the design specs. The Timberwolf
Design
began mass
specs.
production in 2945, giving the designers and industrial base 104 years to work out the kinks before war with the inner sphere began in earnest.
Okay, so definitely a little bit later.
Having a system in production for that span of time largely means you have generations of warriors trained to fight with it and figuring out what tactics work best within its designed capabilities. And boy, what capabilities it does have. Unfortunately, for reasons I'll expound upon later, it was decided to be built at one and only one facility on Strana Mechti.
Yeah, that'll probably
This mech was
limit it a
all
little
the
bit.
rarer during the clan invasion because Clan Wolf realized they had a hell of a war machine and jealously defended it. So much so that the
That does
only
make
way
a little
for
bit of
anyone other
sense.
than Clan Wolf to possess one was through gift giving or battlefield salvage.
Was
Fun
Clan Wolf
fact.
the one who kind of messed it up for a lot of their other clans when they were trying to invade the Inner Sphere? I think I've heard that before.
It's hard to salvage clan technology because salvage is traditionally reserved for winners.
Oh,
As a
Oh, no.
75-ton amalgamation of Indo-steel and ferrofibrous armor, the MADCAT in its prime configuration clips along at 86.4 kilometers an hour.
ooh, yep, that's
Or in
very good
moon
for a
landing
heavy
units,
mech,
That's
huh?
about 53 miles an hour.
Okay,
With double heat sinks and top-of-the-line technology.
of
Whatever
course,
build
it's an
you
Omni
dream
mech.
up, the MADCAT has you covered.
It is an Omni mech.
Unless you're Solaris Jock, then it's going to break, because you're going to take something nice and ruin it in 90 seconds of glory, aren't you? Let's get into the makes and models, shall we?
Okay.
Primary configuration, or that is the clan invasion era primary default standard, murder inner sphere with ease and then maybe go back to the drinking den version, is a whole lot of ass blasting weaponry on a mobile weapon system. 2 LRM-20s because fuck you at range.
Yeah.
2 ER large lasers to engage targets at medium range, and yes, with clan tech, ER large lasers are for medium range. 2 ER medium lasers for lesser medium range, and a
For
medium
lesser
pulse
medium
laser for
range.
disco death mode, and 2 machine guns because infantry need to die as well.
Of course, it got
Alternative
everything, huh?
configuration alpha, configured specifically for long-range direct fire support.
Okay.
Think
Okay, but it's
asshole
got the
sniper, and you
SRMs.
won't be far off. 2 ER PPCs for long-range shenanigans, 3 medium pulse lasers for short-range shenanigans, and if anyone gets too uncomfortably close, a streak SRM-6 to
Yep.
introduce them to the concentrated
I noticed all
heat
like the
that is
longer range
clan
mechs do
missile
have those
attack.
the SRMs for
Alternative
lighter,
configuration
smaller
beta
mechs
is a
on close
confused
range.
mess of weapons, offering a little bit for everybody and lacking any real focus. To me, it says this is for training. See what you like.
Nope,
You
got
get
the
a
Gauss
Gauss
rifle.
an LRM-10 launcher, a large pulse laser, a small pulse laser, an SRM-4, and it's all linked by an Artemis 4 fire control system.
Just
so the
everything.
missiles group just a little better, just because they care.
Yeah.
Alternative configuration Charlie. Well, the Charlie is almost like an alt take on the Prime. You get 2 ER large lasers and an Ultra AC-5 autocannon. You get 2 LRM-50s.
Hey, there we go.
and
We got our
for closer
autocannons
in,
back.
You get an ER medium laser and an anti-missile system for any return fire fears. Alternative configuration Delta. This layout, well, sometimes
Yeah,
called
all these Omni mechs
Frankenstein,
are
is a series
crazy.
of ideas joined by a theme called "I'm here to kick ass and claim
Yeah.
bondsmen," and I'm all out of bondsmen. 2 ER PPCs are the primaries, and the secondaries are 4 Streak SRM-6 launchers. 1 on each torso is
Wow,
rear-facing as
okay.
an option because sneak up on me and get blasted, son. Then they added an ER small laser to shoot birds or something. You're not allowed to shit on clan tech, apparently, and clanners are sadistic bastards. Configuration Echo centers around the Advanced Tactical Missile System with 2 ARM-9 launchers.
Okay, I don't think I've ever seen that
Light
before.
Tag Designator, and 2 ER large lasers. In a sense, it's a fire support take on the Prime with an ability to call in Aero 4 support as needed. Seeing as the Inner Sphere was nearly out of Aero 4 munitions and launchers were relegated to museums as long-lost technology from a more civilized age, this mech was a horrifying surprise in that it ruined everything and brought the hammer down on things that it couldn't outright destroy. Configuration Foxtrot seems to be more mindful of infantry, and that it wants to kill them. It replaces the pulse laser with an ER medium laser, and with the savings throws those into anti-personnel Gauss rifles because nothing's as fun for infantrymen like being exploded. Configuration Hotel is your Swiss Army knife build. 2 LRM-20s with Artemis 4 fire control for long-range precise volleys. For close range, you get 2 heavy large lasers which reliably delete a ton of armor with every trigger pull.
Okay.
There's also an ER small laser because, as I said, birds are not
might as well hit those birds. I like that one.
Dishonorable.
That's probably one of my favorites for this one. I'm trying to think
There's spin-offs on
which
this
one would
design.
be my favorite.
Yeah. The Inner Sphere had the gall to try to copy it and did so with the Rakshasa, which was almost as expensive, far less capable, and generally a disappointment. It's like a MADCAT that was put together in the dark. Think of it as Diablo 3 to Diablo 2, with 2 being the OG MADCAT. And it's not a sin that they made a worse
Diablo
mech.
3?
It's a
I don't
sin
know
that they
too much about the Diablo franchise. I know they had they had the whole Diablo Immortal fiasco, which I remember fondly just because of the funny clips that came out of it. But I know for anybody who's probably in the Diablo fandom, they don't remember that as fondly.
Same lesson stands for Diablo. You hear me, Blizzard? Anyways,
No, yeah. He's probably part of the Diablo
fandom. There are 2 generations
fandom.
of offspring for the MADCAT. The Mark II.
Nice, okay.
Mark II.
I mean, if he got something working, might as well.
Like a proper asshole. Now it's even more deadly. It comes standard with 2 Gauss rifles and has other things that make you want to cry. It's full bore ridiculous and wonderful to pilot. If the MADCAT was a wrestler, the MADCAT
but how expensive is it?
Macho Man Randy Savage. Because expect the unexpected in the kingdom of madness. Oh yeah. The Mark III is a step in the opposite, and some would argue wrong direction. It's a medium mech with definitive design cues taken from the original MADCAT.
Okay, that's a little odd.
It's terrifying.
Okay,
It has 2
I mean, at least
LRM-20s
that.
because compromise is for losers. If this mech didn't have notable mighty warriors,
Ooh, let's see who's
It does not disappoint.
piloting this
with
one.
quite a few examples for the purposes of this discussion. The first notable is Pride, spelled Pryde,
Okay.
after the blood name. I'm referring, of course, to Star Colonel Aiden Pride, who
Wasn't that the one where he
on Tukiyid in 3052.
died in it or
From
lost in it or
Plain to
something?
Robbins Crossing. Aiden's TIMBERWOLF
think I remember.
hell for the comm guards.
Yeah, I think I remember
fought until overrun
listening
by
to that in the
comm
last
guard
video.
4th Army, taking down a company of war machines with
Or was it the
minimal
opposite?
support.
It might have been the
His
opposite.
build is remembered for having a quartet of jump jets, adding respectably to its already decent mobility.
Ooh, I definitely
In
like
addition,
the jump
Bounty
jet.
Hunter drove one at various points throughout his, well,
The bounty
her-
hunters.
well, look, I can do a whole episode on this character. Just
Okay,
suffice
I've
to say
never
he's
heard
the
about this
settings
character
Dread
before.
Pirate Roberts. The Bounty Hunter had 2 identified builds. The first with large pulse lasers and medium pulse lasers backed by an active probe, full ECM suite, and a targeting computer. The second was Jihad era and was a Franken build with large pulse lasers, medium lasers, SRM-4s, streak SRM-4s, anti-personnel Gauss rifles, ER small
Okay.
lasers, targeting computers, coolant pods, and jump jets, plus
Definitely a
ammo.
more generalist
why
build
not?
there.
There's also the many infamous builds for Solaris jocks, but, well, they tend not to last that long.
Yeah, right. They get
And
destroyed in the
secrets
the
they
battlefield.
may hold are at the bottom of a smoking crater. And now, if I may, I'd like to
Ooh.
offer an unpopular opinion.
Ooh, an unpopular opinion.
Having built a solid foundation as an outspoken asshole and battle mech expert with strongly worded opinions, I would like to say the following is an unpopular opinion. Some consider the MADCAT or TIMBERWOLF a game changer. That it is the stompiest of the stompies, the most DACA of the DACA, the best balanced weapon system there ever was in the setting. But let me state an unpopular opinion, at least a lore-friendly one. What if I
Okay.
say it isn't? What if I say it's a prime example as to why the clanners lost? Right now, somebody is mashing that downvote button, but hear
No,
me
no,
out.
I'm still with you right
Let's
now.
open the history books of the 20th century. There's an army that designs and builds exceptionally lethal weapon systems.
Oh, yeah.
An army that arguably has the best fighters, warriors, and training the world has ever seen. At least to that point. This army had mighty warriors who could fight 10 times their number and win. One managed to knock out 168 tanks in a matter of years. When this nation attacked, it easily stormed over the enemy, defeating them soundly in battle after battle thanks to better organizational doctrine, training, and preparedness.
I do know that they had a lot better military technology than a lot of the places around them, but I did not know that they had like higher training standards and stuff. Because I have like dabbled in that part of history a little bit, mostly with the Battlefield games. But I'll admit that my World War II knowledge was a little bit lacking, mostly because wasn't that Battlefield 5 that was set in World War II? I think it was. It was Battlefield 5, and that one I didn't play as much. I was like super big into Battlefield 1. I loved that. And then I started playing Battlefield 5, but it just kind of didn't feel the same. And I preferred Battlefield 1. I would go back to Battlefield 1. And then Battlefield 2042 came out, and and then I completely kind of divested from the franchise pretty much. I played the beta for that, and it didn't have a scoreboard, and I just got super mad and didn't play it again ever since then. Because I think that's kind of ridiculous. Just recently, I hopped into Battlefield 6, and that was super fun. And I'm like back to having a blast with Battlefield. So I'm happy that Battlefield kind of went back to its roots a little bit.
Their tools too maintained an edge over their opponents, creating fantastic armored vehicles that decimated the enemy for a time.
But then they had production issues.
Resources became strained. As the war ground on, manpower was no longer available. And as it turns out, being able to make the finest vehicles for war doesn't mean much if you can't make all that many of them.
Yeah, and if you can't even power them.
Those warriors lost with equally talented ones and in similar numbers.
That's why they were trying to go into
also, as
Russia.
It turns out, attacking a bunch of people means that ultimately sometimes they will set aside their differences and stop you, and in the process unleash their full industrial power for one purpose: making you die.
Yeah. Okay, actually, I didn't actually get that many parallels to the Inner Sphere when I like first thought about it, but I can definitely see that. The clans being Germany.
1,347 Tiger 1 tanks made, ever. Meanwhile, there are 49,234 Shermans. There were 35,488 base model T-34s made during the war, and another 23,213 T-34-85s. While the early T-34 could run maybe 200 clicks before the engines wore out, it was enough to get the job done. History isn't always about quality. It's about quantity.
Yeah, with all the super weapon projects that they tried.
That makes fewer weapons. War does not often reward nations with the audacity to fight a superior industrial base for a prolonged period of time. As well, history's lesson for us seems to be that building all your weapons and relatively...
Yeah, I've not looked too deeply into the clans, but I'm guessing their industrial base can't really compare to the Inner Sphere, even working separately, I'm sure. But the Inner Sphere together definitely has a better industrial base than the clans. I'm not exactly sure where, because I know they have their home worlds, but I've not engaged with any parts of the series that are more towards where you would explore those home worlds.
Few places and relatively few numbers for relatively few carefully chosen people is a bad fucking idea. This is complicated by having an enormously long supply chain, a rigid system of belief that prevents you from utilizing your full might without serious loss of honor. This is then complicated by maintaining a large force of high-tech equipment.
Yeah, they didn't use their warships because it would be dishonorable, which I'm glad for, because I'm I'm definitely more on the side of the Inner Sphere, but it's definitely not how you would preferably engage in war.
Well to the rigors of prolonged conflict far from home.
If you actually wanted to win.
Note that any supplies, replacement parts, or pilots must be sent from far, far away. All of this is then made worse when a war does drag on, because whatever you might think, war has a tendency to change. War has a tendency to surprise both sides. War has a tendency to resolve nothing but who has the larger industrial base, and who is willing to grind people to dirt for the satisfaction of victory. The MADCAT
Yeah,
may be
the
the
Lyran
finest
Commonwealth
weapon of war
definitely
yet
has
devised
that.
in this setting. It may be near perfect as battle mechs go, but thankfully it was too little for too few to make a big enough impact. Intersphere historians shudder at what might have happened had the clans had enough time to prepare better, but they didn't.
Well, yeah, that's the whole
invasion wasn't
alternate
planned by
history type
especially
stuff.
smart people.
Everybody likes to think about like, oh, what if Germany did this and focused on this and didn't attack Russia or didn't attack this? But that's what they were. That's their whole like reason for existing. All the material conditions inside the country was what led them to do that. And it would have just been like, oh, what if that happened? We don't know, and we'll never really know. And most likely, none of the what ifs would even change too much because, as he said, you just got to compare the industrial bases of the countries at war with each other and to know that what's going to happen is they're going to be eventually ground down. Maybe they could have been ground down a little bit slower, but they were going to be ground down eventually.
Glory. The MADCAT, like many other clan mechs, was designed principally for clan warfare, where both sides agreed to the rules and regulations. Both sides follow a strict code of honor. Both sides have a limited number of forces to accomplish a strategic objective, and then afterward it is resolved, swiftly and without much lingering concern as to supply situations.
It's an interesting way of doing war that I'm like, I definitely think it's interesting, but obviously it relies on honor, and there's not a whole lot of honor to be left on the battlefields of the inner sphere.
The MADCAT, like many other pieces of clan equipment, were designed for limited scale warfare, between people having galactic slap fights for honor or whatever else. It wasn't until they fought the sphere that they realized they may have made some goddamn mistakes. But that's a story for another time.
Yep. Ooh, so yeah,
Something's up.
The
MADCAT
Tuca,
is an
I
awesome
can't
weapon of war
pronounce
with
that
few
that
notable exceptions.
world that they had that battle
Those
on,
exceptions
but I
being
am
if you have to
excited
pay
for that.
it, repair it, buy spare parts, support logistics, and or fight a prolonged conflict within your inventory while spare parts and pilots are many hundred light years away at best.
Yeah, makes sense.
Also, I want to say this, and this may strike some people wrong. I am an asshole. This
No.
is an opinion. You can disagree with me. But I'm still an asshole. I want to thank Sarna.net for being the best fucking wiki in the universe, and an awesome source of information, inspiration, and deep lore knowledge. I want to thank my editor who puts up with my nonsense.
You're looking for a killing tool because you broke the last one? Then come on down to Discount Dan Surplus Mech Warehouse between the Triple F Burger and Steiner Arena South Entrance, Solaris 7. I got light mechs, I got heavy mechs, I got assault mechs. I have like literally 3 dozen hunchbacks. Nobody buys those. Nobody buys a hunchback, but you might. Maybe you will. I bet you will. Please buy a hunchback. Look, I got catapults for days. We got new catapults, used catapults, catapult parts, catapult chairs. Listen, we got the biggest aftermarket catapult parts emporium as a recognized, licensed, bonded, and noted catapult aftermarket accessory
No boy, I
installation
can't wait
outlet.
for the
You got
catapult
money?
video.
Come on down. I'll help you burn it. I will burn that money right out of your
Oh,
fucking
why
hands
are we
because
burning
I am
money?
Discount Dan, and that's what I do
Discount
because I
Dan.
care.
Okay, thank you. Hey. No, they'd whip me with the belt if they found out. Don't sue Tex. Tex has no money. Alrighty then, final thoughts on the MADCAT. I'm actually finding myself, obviously I'm kind of biased because I am also a man of the inner sphere. I like the Federated Sons are my boys currently. And I'm also obviously heavily influenced by Tex because he's kind of like a large portion of my Battletech knowledge as of late. But I definitely agree. I like the MADCAT in like a single engagement. If I was like piloting something in a, say, Solaris Arena, I'd be like, oh yeah, I'll take a MADCAT. I think it'll definitely do great on one-on-one fights. But if I was having to like build up, which I'm actually planning on doing fairly soon, I'm going to be playing, I think I'm going to be playing MechWarriors 5, the mercenary one, I think, because that's one that I've seen the most about. And it kind of looks fun. So I was like, I'm going to try to play that. But if I was like building out my own mercenary company, maybe I would like invest in myself to get like a super powerful MADCAT, but I don't think I would want to field a whole bunch of them as because once you're getting up to that point, I think they're a little bit too much almost. and you're not going to be able to get a whole bunch of them. And if you get one, you're going to have to spend a whole lot more than you would spending for a whole bunch of other stuff. And you're going to have to maintain that mech, and you're going to have to keep it running even when, like, even if you're not talking about spare parts, you're going to have to keep that thing running with like a whole bunch of stuff. So I feel like the MADCAT is definitely emblematic of the clans as a whole, which is super high tech, super good on one-on-one fights, but not the most well thought out in the planning phase and even in like the building phase, because of how they actually, I don't think he got into it. So it was more that Clan Wolf didn't want them to be, didn't want their design to get out, I guess, but that kind of ended up backfiring on them because they only had like a singular factory pumping them out, and there was not a whole bunch actually going out into the field to do much with. So in the end, it probably wasn't worth just keeping it to themselves, because if you want to mass produce this type of stuff, first of all, it would be really difficult just because of how incredible and like how over designed it was. But it would have been probably a better idea to mass produce it than to keep it secretly hidden where it didn't end up impacting the war all that much. Though do keep in mind that this is all kind of conjecture from what I've been seeing so far. Okay, but that was a super fun video. I always love the Tech Talks videos. I love when he gives his opinion. I love when he does the detailed specification stuff. And I'm super looking forward to when the videos get like more detailed. We can go deeper into like the histories and the lore behind them as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and adios.